Hi everyone, and welcome to a modeling tutorial for Persimmon Red. And in this one I'm gonna covering modular modeling tips and tricks, and we're gonna go through changing my measuring unit from the metric system to the foot system, scaling model according to the listed dimension that you could find in the assets list here, and also where to put the pivot on the object so that when it's in Unreal the pivot is like work the way that it's intended to be. And let's start with changing my measuring unit to foot. So as you have known, like when it's come to modular modeling, it's very important that all of the pieces fit into each other, because it's like building a set of Lego. And like here I have a few wall modular pieces with holes for windows and door, so that means that the window and the door needs to fit perfectly into this hole. So let's start by changing the unit. Go to window, setting preferences, and then setting. Here I already have it in foot, but your will come in meter, so it's gonna look a lot wider like this, and you can see that when I change it to foot it's gonna be a lot smaller. And with the foot system, each of these unit up square will be 1 foot wide and 1 foot like tall. And also, like, it's, as you can see, the grid is very small, and maybe it could be inconvenient depend on how big your asset is. If your asset is way bigger than the grid, you might find that you can go to the grid and grid option, right click to get grid option, and then change the length and width here. So I'm just gonna put in a while number 100, and then you can see that it's make the grid way bigger, so now you have more room to work with. Okay, so that was how to change my measurings from metric to foot. And then now we have to scale model according to the listed dimension. So I will use the door as an example. The door is 7 feet tall and 5 feet wide total. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a cube. So we know this cube is 1 feet by 1 feet by 1 feet. I'm gonna go to the pivot mode, hit D to go to pivot mode, and then I'm gonna V snap the pivot to one of the vertex, and then hit D to go back to normal, and then I'm gonna hold X to snap it to the grid. So let's start it right here. I'm gonna go to the face mode, and then V snap it to the corner, and I'm gonna pull it. So now, because I'm having the X, so grid snap mode on, we know that every time it move a whole feet. So right now it's covering 4 feet, 5, 6, 7. This is 7 feet tall, and I'm gonna make it 5 feet wide. Hold D again, move the pivot to the corner, especially the one that is intersecting with the grid, snap it. So, and then to make it stand up, I'm gonna put the pivot here, and then hold J to rotate it in an increment of, I think, 15 or 45, maybe 45. So now we have a door. And if we move this door to the hole that I have right here, you're gonna see that it fits perfectly. So yeah. But what if you have a number that is like 6.5? So this one I have is like 7 right now. So I would say to get the half a foot number, I would use the insert edge loop tool and really go to like zoom in and get the edge loop where the 1 foot mark is on the grid, and then double click on the insert edge loop tool on here, or just go to the option of it, the tool setting, and then use multiple edge loop option. So it's gonna put even space between all the edge loop regardless of where you click on here. So if I put in like 5, for example, it put in like everything evenly spaced, but here I'm gonna use 1 so that I could get the half of this foot, and then select these faces, so like this, fill this hole like this, and now we have a 6.5 feet tall door. And that was scaling modular according to listed dimension. And next is adjusting the pivot of the object. So every time that you are importing an object into Unreal, let me stand it up real fast. Okay, so the pivot, so no matter whether you have the pivot of the object inside Maya, the pivot of the object will appear to be on the origin inside Unreal. So if I import this object into Unreal right now, the pivot of this object will be all the way over there, because that is how far this object is from the origin. So to make sure that the object is like the pivot of the object is perfectly how you want it to be, you have to physically move the whole object over, and the pivot is gonna be like just the relationship between the object and the origin. So for object like door and window, I would suggest to put the pivot on the ground where it's contact between the object and the floor. So I'll put it there, and then there's not really a technical way to do it, so I just do it manually, and then I'm gonna X-snap to snap it to the grid. So now every time I import the object into Unreal, it's going to be right there, the pivot's going to be right there, and it's going to be very helpful whenever I try to like scale the object. It's going to be evenly scaled, stuff like that, which is very useful. And also, if you could see like on this wall, this is just an example, the pivot is right there, and if I want to make sure the pivot of the object stay there, I'm gonna have to X-snap it to the origin. The pivot needs to be at the origin so that when you import it into Unreal, the location of the pivot get maintained. So that's the end of the tutorial. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good day.